I'll never forget this really cool insight I got from my aunt once. Hey, Aunt Jay, love you. I was telling her about a struggle that I was having to get into this job. I just wasn't having a good time. I felt like I should be able to discipline myself to just show up and do the work. And she told me this. She said that it's hard to put your heart into something your heart's just not in. The reality is your heart can only be in one place at a time. And that's the problem with motivation. We keep trying to manufacture it in areas where our heart just isn't really invested. And we tell ourselves that we should push harder. We should grind more, find a way to be motivated. But the truth is, if your heart's not in it, no amount of willpower is going to make it stick. The culture's lied to you. Everywhere you look, people are obsessed with motivation, how to get it, how to keep it, how to hack their way into more of it. The culture believes motivation is the key to success. But here's the truth. Motivation is a scam. The state of being motivated is unreliable, is inconsistent, and worst of all, is completely unnecessary for actual progress. The people who actually make progress and who move forward, the ones who build, who create, who succeed, they don't sit around waiting to feel like doing it. They don't rely on motivation. They rely on something else. But what? Discipline? Discipline is what builds consistency. But discipline without direction, that's just grinding for the sake of the grind. The key isn't just discipline. It's making sure you're being disciplined towards something that actually matters. Here's where most people get it wrong. They confuse their fleeting emotions with their hearts. They think, if I don't feel like doing this, maybe it's just not for me. But your emotions and your heart are not the same thing. Your emotions are more like temporary weather. Your heart is climate. If you only take action when it feels easy, you're always going to abandon the process before you ever reach anything meaningful. That's why discipline isn't about forcing yourself to push through the struggle. It's about holding yourself to a commitment, even when your feelings don't match your intention. Discipline is just what keeps you moving when your mood tells you to stop. Motivation is just an emotional high. It's a hit. It's what fuels those January gym spikes. People run in on a high, then they fade off as time reveals their actual heart. In today's culture, we use motivation to take jobs we don't want, to do diets we hate, stay in relationships we know we need to leave. You watch a hype video, you read an inspiring quote, you listen to a podcast, and for a second, you feel ready to take on the world. But then what happens? You wait for that feeling again. And when you don't feel motivated, you do nothing. That's why motivation, it's just the drug of the uncommitted. It makes you feel like you're making progress when all you're really doing is waiting. Successful people aren't more motivated than you. They're just operating on a different system. They don't rely on emotion to make a move. Even if they don't realize it, they rely on an acceptance of the reality of design. They may not call it that, but they still follow it. Birds don't think about flying. They just do it because that's what they were made to do. Great leaders don't wake up debating whether or not they should take responsibility for something. They just step into it and take responsibility. They step into it instinctively because they were wired for it. Builders, creators, innovators, they don't sit around waiting for permission. They move because movement itself aligns with the nature of progress. The wins aren't at the end. Victory, winning, is a state of being. It's not a place you arrive at. Momentum beats motivation. Commitment beats motivation. The people who actually build great things don't wake up every day feeling like doing the work. They do it because it's who they are, because it's what they were built for, because it's what they were made to do. You don't need more motivation. You need to accept your design and the purpose that comes with it. You need to know exactly what you're building and why it matters. When you step into that, you don't need a hype video to get you out of bed in the morning. When you have momentum from you actually moving, your own progress becomes the fuel. And when you know what matters, you don't wait for motivation. You just move. Now, does that mean waiting is always bad? No, of course not. There's wisdom in waiting for the right moment. the right timing, the right season, the right strategy. But if you're stuck, if you're waiting for the next motivation hit before you start, stop. Waiting, wishing, worrying, none of that's going to build what you were made for. Move, because the wins aren't at the end. So you don't need to chase victories. Because when you do what you were built for, you win. What's one thing you've been waiting to start? Drop a comment and subscribe, because I'm not here to hype you up. I'm here to help you get moving. Watch the next video. Start moving. Start building. Start doing what you were made for.